In the name I am that I am, son of tomorrow, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty Choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I demand the action of the sacred fire in this hour. Descend on mighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved son of Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present, come forth in this hour of the victory. Come forth in this hour of the victory of the God's flame. I demand the full power of beloved mighty, be with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send to me, Lord, my Savior, Gautama and son of Kumara. Come forth now in the victory of the God's flame. Send the light 10,000 suns. Beloved mighty, stand, mighty, stand, mighty, stand. Around this fortune I call upon the great central sun magnet. I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved stand, beloved stand, beloved stand. I call upon the electronic solar rings of the great central sun, the seraphim of God. I call for the electronic fire rings. I call for the rings of the great.
Well, in some places they actually say better late than never. And obviously I am quite a bit late today. In fact, more than quite a bit, an hour and 15 minutes late. And I have a fairly good excuse for why I'm late. And if you have 45 minutes of your time, I'll tell you. Actually, it won't take 45 minutes. It'll take just about maybe 3 minutes, which will leave me with roughly 40 minutes to fill with no callers and nobody waiting to listen or hear from me because I'm an hour and 15 minutes late. So here's the story. I get up, I get my kid off to school, I'm driving him to school, and the next thing I know, I'm going up the street. I'm about 3 blocks away from his school, and I hear what looks like a muffled shot. A muffled shot. And I realize that something has happened to my rear tire. Now, I currently drive a smart car. There's actually somebody in the guest room. Hi there, guest. Thanks for waiting or stopping by. So I drive a smart car. And a smart car is economical and kind of smart, but not entirely incredibly smart. The reason why it's not smart, well, it's not incredibly smart. It's not a genius car. It's a smart car. If it were a genius car, it would have a spare fucking tire, okay? It would have a spare tire. But it doesn't. It's too small to have a spare tire. So I get out of my car and I look in the back of my car with the tire, and there is a bolt. My guess went away. There is a bolt, and I mean a bolt in my tire. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to take this thing. Oh, there's Erica. Hi, Erica. I'm going to take this thing to the tire place, right? And I'm going to get it pulled out. And I'm going to get it plugged. I'm going to be on my merry way. It took one look at the bolt, one look at the hole, and the guy said, I can't patch this. So do you have a tire? No, I don't have it. I don't have these tires. So now I literally have, it was a bolt the size of my thumb in my tire. Says, well, yeah, you did show up kind of on the right time. So I've got this bolt the size of my thumb in my tire. He says, well, I'll put some air in your tire. You go down the street and see if they'll fix it. So I go down the street. They say they can't fix it. They don't have the tire. So now what do? So now I've got to get on the road and see if I can drive this thing home. Well, I get on the freeway, and I swear to God, the only time my car breaks down is on this one stretch of freeway. I've had my car either run out of gas or different cars or break down within this half a mile stretch on this one freeway. Nowhere else. Nowhere else. And all of a sudden I'm driving down the freeway and I hear whoop. The bolt goes flying out of my tire, flat tire. Now, I thought to myself, well, I have a friend in Richmond. I'll give him a call, see if he can pick me up. I go to turn on my phone dies. So really, I was only about, at the most, maybe 4 or 5 miles from home, but it's not a straight shot. It's like there are side streets and ghettos, and there are railroad tracks and hobo junctions. And this is, so I'm circumnavigating sort of post-apocalyptic America as I'm walking home through this 5-mile jaunt. And I came across a colony of feral cats living down by the river or the creek or whatever it is. So eventually I made it. And my car is still on the side of the freeway because I have to figure out how to get a tire from San Francisco to my house and get it changed. Amazing stuff. And this, it's weird. It's like I have these experiences which happened before my son's birthday. Now, technically, my son's birthday was a month ago, but we've had to put it off for a number of reasons, so the birthday party is tomorrow. 2 years ago, the day before my son's birthday, my father died. And a year before that, well, I got out of my 5150 stint, which most of you know about. If you don't, I'll tell you about it someday. Anyway, I'm here now. Thank you for your patience. And let's see if there's anybody in the chat room. Oh, yeah, there we are. Yeah, the smart car. The smart car, look, I'm not going to complain. It's free. My smart car is free. I have not paid for this car since November, okay? Now, the smart car, I'll tell you something about the smart car. If you look at the smart car, if you look at the Fiat Albarn, what we're seeing is very small cars that really don't go very far. They're not made for long travel. And so people are going to buy these cars. Why are they going to buy these cars? Why are they going to buy these cars? They're going to buy these cars because gas prices are so high, right? They're conditioning people to buy these small, little piece of shit cars because gas prices are so high. And so now what? Now we can't drive 150, 200, 300 miles in luxury, which we were able to do many, many years ago when gas prices were affordable and gas was plentiful. And by the way, gas is still plenty plentiful and plenty affordable. It's all a scam. And so what they're doing is they're conditioning us to drive in smaller cars, go shorter distances, use less resources, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, this is the smart car. This is the conditioning around the smart car. So now, my smart car really isn't all that smart. Again, it has no spare. All right, there's Gloria. She's in there. She's baring her teeth. She thinks this is funny that I'm going through this. I can tell. I can tell she thinks it's funny. Yes. Well, it is funny. I'm trying to see the humor in all of this. The other thing too is like I have my rats are back. They were gone for a while. Now they're back, and they got into my emergency food and started eating my emergency food. Yes. So now I'm thinking I need a cat because these rats are, they're little, they're pesky. I live in a very kind of rural, wild area in some ways. It's the rural jungle. So I'm thinking about getting a cat. Well, I walked past this feral cat colony on my way home, and I thought to myself, would it be great if I just get one of these cats to come live with me? And I tried to be a cat whisperer in that moment, just to see if I could get one of these cats to follow me home to take care of my rat problem. So I'm thinking, this is what God has intended for me. This is what God has intended. God said, you're going to have a flat tire today. You're going to have to walk 5 miles through swamps, through railroad tracks, through ghettos, through industrial parks, through hobo junctions. But you're going to find a cat. You're going to find a cat that's going to solve your rat problem. Well, unfortunately, yes. I could not find that cat. I could not whisper enough. Anyway, let me get off of my travels and travails. Let me transcend my experience, and let me get into the wonderful world of astrology and what's happening. I've got a new post up on my blog if you haven't seen it yet. It's Prometheus, Invocation of Pisces, Happy, Astarte, Chocolate, Jesus, and the Egg. It's kind of a fun little piece here. I get into the symbolism of the new film Prometheus, which is directed by Ridley Scott. And if you look at the trailer, which I have on my site, what you see at the beginning of the trailer is this just really amazing, awe-inspiring, untamed source of water. And so right at the beginning of the trailer, they're invoking Neptune and Pisces, and in some ways, Trident, Poseidon. And it's very, very powerful. Just draws you right in. It's like, wow, what is this? It is the untamed power of the natural world on another world. That's what it is. So we get that, we watch that, and then what happens? Then we see a hand come up out of the water, and it's got blood on it, and something is transforming or mutating this hand. And it talks about when a king dies. Here, let's just play it. I'll just play the beginning. Here we go. This is Prometheus. And I'm just going to play the beginning here. Okay, so a king has his reign and then he dies. And what you see is, again, you see this very Piscean surge of water and force. And then you see this hand come out of the water. A king has his reign and then he dies. I believe what they're referring to in that very brief snippet is Jesus. That's what I believe that they're referring to, that he is the king of kings, right? This is what Jesus is, theoretically, the King of Kings, the Son of God, and then he dies. And what they're talking about at the beginning of the film is the death of the Piscean age, which is a theme that we've been seeing clearly from the Concordia, which started almost right at the beginning of the year. It started 2012 off, the Concordia, and I've done that I got into the symbolism of the Concordia on my site. Then the Super Bowl ritual extravaganza, where did that take place? It took place at Lucas Field, which is Lucas Oil, right? What is oil? Oil is petroleum. It is Piscean. It is Neptunian. What is Lucas? Lucas is light, right? It is the light bringer. It is the Luciferian factor. It's the Luciferian symbol coming into play. So here we have this convergence of petroleum, oil, Lucas, light, right? At the beginning of the year, and then we have the Concordia disaster, where, again, it's almost like an imitation of the Titanic, and of course the Titanic is being re-released in 14 days from now. And who was the director of the Titanic? James Cameron. What film did James Cameron direct? Aliens. Where was James Cameron 2 weeks ago or this past week? He was in the Marianas Trench in one of the deepest parts of the ocean, cruising around the benthic zone, and communing with all those strange, luminescent life forms that live off heat and not light, which he used, by the way, as the inspiration for Pandora. So there's another Neptunian undercurrent that's going on here with Cameron, with aliens, with Alien, Prometheus. And Prometheus, what you have, I can see it already, is you have the birth of the synthetic human. You have the birth of the automated man, or the Uberman, but the Uberman is not just human, he's also part alien, or he has an alien factor that colonizes his consciousness. This is what Prometheus is about, by the way. And so what we have at the beginning of the film is really an invocation to the death of the Piscean age. A king has his reign and then he dies. That's what you see at the beginning of the film. And then you see something else being hatched out of this relationship with another world, with a distant world, which theoretically we have as our ancestry. This is all the subtext of Prometheus. And I get into this on the site. And there's a lot more going on with Prometheus and Ridley Scott. You know, it's interesting when I get into this stuff, I swear, these doors just open sometimes. It's fascinating. You know, then you begin to look at Ridley Scott's body of work. Of course, there's Blade Runner, and again, there's this theme of stealing fire from the gods. You know, Paradise Lost, Lucifer, which is a retelling through Blade Runner and Philip K. Dick, and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? I mean, these androids are the fallen angels. That's what they are. They come back to Earth from their journey around the stars, and they're more inspired, more human, and more superhuman than any human in the film, including Harrison Ford. Rutger Hauer's performance in that movie is utterly captivating. You know, it's like if you had picked two people, really, in that movie who were going to be bigger stars, I would have said at that time it would have been about a 50-50 race between Rutger Hauer and Harrison Ford, because Rutger Hauer steals that movie, and you know, with the exception of a few minor films that he really shows up in, including Lady Hawk, which is moderately interesting, but has a bombastic score by Vangelis. Terrible, terrible score. Rutger Hauer had an incredibly disappointing film career compared to Harrison Ford. But anyway, it's another theme that shows up in Ridley Scott's movies, which is fallen angels, which is the Luciferian factor, Luciferian consciousness, Luciferian agency, as personified by the fallen angel androids, particularly in the form of Rutger Hauer's character. And then I got into a little bit more about the films of Ridley Scott, and I noticed that there was a theme going on in the films. You know, he directed Thelma and Louise, and I started to play with the phraseology of Thelma, and a word that's very close to Thelma is Thelema, and Thelema is the order that was started by Aleister Crowley, do as thou will. And Thelema literally is translated into the Greek word will, or the power of will. And Louise is very close to you'd have to travel maybe one or two iterations, but one of the iterations of Louise is loose. It's related to Louise. Loose, as in Lucy, right? Lucent. And again, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with quote, Lucifer. So we have Will and Lucifer in Thelma and Louise. Then he also did G.I. Jane, which I get into a little bit. Demi Moore, who is the lead in G.I. Jane. She was born and raised in Roswell, New Mexico. And then there were about 5 directors or 6 directors that contributed short films to a film called All the Invisible Children. I thought that was a really interesting title for a film, considering what just happened in the past month. Anyway, I looked at the production company for All the Invisible Children. By the way, Spike Lee has a short on All the Invisible Children as well. The production company for that film is MK Film Productions. Anyway, I get into this on the website, and you can read more about it on the website. And I get into the full moon and all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so let's talk about some astrology now. Let's get into astrology. Let's look at the stars. As Louis Torrey would say,
let's look at the stars. We're going to look at the stars. We're going to find the dragon's head and the dragon's tail. And we are going to explore where the dragon's head and the dragon's tail are today.
Okay, so here we go. The moon is at 16 degrees Libra. Full moon really early on, right? I mean, look, Daft Ada had sent me an email earlier this week, and she said, hey, isn't the full moon early? And it's like, yeah, I think last year was on the 22nd. And if you look at what's happening this weekend, there's a significant convergence. You have Easter, right? And the many, sort of iterations of Easter. And then April 7th is the Buddha's birthday. I don't know if you know that or not, but it is the Buddha's birthday. And it's also, I guess, Passover. And so we have Esther, E-O-S-T-R-E, Easter, the death and the resurrection of Jesus, the Buddha's birthday and Passover, and a full moon all in one weekend. How's that for a triple cheeseburger order of fries? Cosmic hamburger. It's pretty big, huh? There's a lot going on this weekend. So we've got the full moon today, opposed the Aries sun. Mercury has gone direct. It's at 24 degrees Pisces, so it's opposing my sun right now. Ugh. Please move on, Mercury. Move on. Let's get to Aries quickly. Thank you. Venus in Gemini, 2 degrees. Welcome, Venus in Gemini. Kind of a crazy. Venus in Gemini is a very interesting energy. If you ever meet anybody who has Venus in Gemini, they're kinky. They are kinky. People that have Moon or Venus in Gemini are kinky people. And I know this from experience. Trust me on this. Because Gemini doesn't have any, Gemini's got a very interesting relationship with morality. I think Geminis are some of the most immoral people I've ever met. But what's really interesting about them is that they're incredibly pure in their immorality. Like, they're just checking it out. They are so okay with it on some level. There's no judgment with when Gemini gets into something. There's very little judgment about what they're doing because they're just exploring. They're just curious. They're just trying that thing on. Whereas you go to the other aspect of Mercury, which would be Virgo. It's like tons of judgment. Virgo colors outside the lines. Oh my God, I'm going to hell. What am I doing? Oh, Gemini's not wound up about that at all. So Venus in Gemini today, 2 degrees. Get kinky. Put on your kinky boots. Mars in Virgo, again, retrograde. Getting ready to move forward, though. Thank God. 4 degrees. And Jupiter, Taurus, 14 degrees. Good time to have a Easter Sunday, don't you think, with Jupiter and Taurus? I think so. It's moved out of that sweet Earth trine that we had. Man, I like that Earth trine. That Earth trine was great. When those planets were all within like 1 degree of each other, I felt so good, so centered, so grounded, almost too grounded in some ways. And now that the planets are moving apart, I miss it. I miss it. And I got to tell you, I did better financially during that grand Earth trine than any other time in the past year. And in fact, I did a reading for a baby that was born on Leap Day who had the grand Earth trine. So, here I was participating professionally with that grand Earth trine. And she had an amazing chart, this girl. Powerful chart. Let's see, Saturn in Libra, 26 degrees, moving backwards. It will stop at 24 degrees. Saturn is at a wide square with the sun today. It's at a wide conjunction with the moon. The moon will catch up to Saturn over the weekend. And Moon Saturn can be depressive. I mean, the one thing about Moon and Saturn is it can be very lucid, and you can be very pragmatic about emotions. And you can be very clear about who's who, what's what, and how they're impacting you in your life and whether or not you want them around. But at the same time, it's not really given to any great expressions of high romance or passion. So this weekend should be an interesting weekend as the moon moves closer to Saturn. I think it has the potential for, I mean, look, if you wanted to get out of conflict with somebody, I think this weekend, once the moon moves past the sun, you want the moon to move past the sun, so we're probably talking Saturday getting closer to Sunday, that there could be some really profound reconciliation this weekend with the Moon-Saturn conjunction Libra. That's my opinion. And it's because the energies of the sun will be so powerful at the same time. The sun will be at a wide opposition, very wide. But, you know, I think that the energies of the moon and Saturn will predominate and prevail on Sunday. So Sunday's a good day to, if you've got things that you want to talk to people about and you want to settle without a lot of charge or judgment, I think Sunday is the day. By the way, even though I had to walk through, you know, sort of the beginning stages of Road Warrior on my way home, the weather is spectacular. No chemtrails in the sky, none. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's great. And it felt like spring. It actually felt like spring on Earth. And that was a really, really good thing. So what else do we have here? We've got Uranus in Aries at 5 degrees. Uranus moving up. Peaks at 8 degrees this year. And we don't have to worry about Uranus getting in the way of any of those Libra planets, at least not right now. Yesterday, Uranus was opposing the moon. And it was kind of intense. The energy was kind of intense yesterday. Does anybody feel that? I had an intense day. Chiron, 7 degrees at Pisces, moving further away from Neptune, but of course, you know, Chiron, it will move back. You know, the true node is getting ready to move into Scorpio. You know, we've had a pretty interesting true node run, or north node run in Scorpio with Gemini on the backside. And that's going to switch. That's going to flip to Scorpio and Taurus. And what I think, here's what's going to happen. I think that we're going to have the second wave of really significant financial shit coming at us with that south node in Taurus. You know, apparently kid gloves are coming off with the banks. The protection, the scant protection to keep the people from running around in the streets, burning down banks is about to expire over the next couple of weeks. I think actually over the next couple of days. And we're going to see that. We're going to see the manifestation of that with the south node in Taurus, and with the north node in Scorpio, which is other people's money, which is the banks. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. You know, yesterday on Twitter, I cracked a joke about today's birthdays. But today is the birthday of 3 guys named, let me see if I can find this. If I can, Bang, Fokker, and Hardman. I thought that was funny. Of course I would. I still have an adolescent sense of humor at times. Bang, Fokker, and Hardman. And it's Bill Hardman, Anthony Fokker, and who's the Bang guy? Jensen Pavi Bang. Today's Michelle Bachman's birthday. It's also the birthday of Lando Calrissian, Billy D. Williams. They have Merle Haggard's birthday. How about that? Merle Haggard. Oh, and Ram Dass. It's Ram Dass's birthday, a.k.a. Richard Alpert. I've never met Ram Dass. I did meet Bhagwan Das. I hung out with Bhagwan Das for a weekend up in Harbin Hot Springs. Oh, it's Rick Levine's birthday today. A very fine astrologer, Rick Levine. It's his birthday today. You know, Rick and Jeff Jaw are 2 of the most successful astrologers
I know of. I mean, they make a good living at being an astrologer. So cheers to Rick. Happy birthday, Rick. How old is Rick? Let's find out. Born in 1949. 1949. Let's check out his chart. He's very Aquarian. He's got 4 planets in Aquarius, true node in the 11th house, massive stellium in Aries. Sun, Aries, Mercury, Aries, Venus, Aries, Mars, Aries. That's the dude that gets things done, huh? It's all part of a wicked T-square, though. All those planets oppose Neptune in Libra. So maybe Rick Levine is the anti-me. Could be. He could be. He's got Moon in Cancer at 16 degrees, part of that T-square. Rick Levine has, it's good thing he's got Jupiter in Capricorn, anaretic degree, 29 degrees, or else he would have no Earth in his chart at all. God, the guy's got a ton of Cardinal in his chart. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So anyway, happy birthday, Rick Levine. I did meet Bhagwan Das, who is Ram Dass's buddy, or they were buddies. I'm not sure what their relationship is like these days. It was up at Harbin Hot Springs. It was a very interesting time, for sure. Let's see. It is, I got 13 minutes left. Look, I'm willing to do a quick reading if anybody wants to call in and get on the phone. I'll also extend out a little bit on the show and maybe do a little bit on the streaming side, but not on the podcast. I have it not on the streaming side. So if anybody wants to call in and have a quick little astrology reading or talk astrology, 347-308-8995, 347-308-8995. You can call in. I would be happy to do a reading for you, or if you just want to do shop talk, shoot the shit, I'll do that as well. And if not, I'll talk about Trayvon Martin and Dick Cheney. How's that? Do you want me to talk about Trayvon Martin and Dick Cheney? Have you seen the video of Trayvon Martin possibly having Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney possibly having Trayvon Martin's heart? Have you seen that video? You know, it's really weird. I don't know. When all that was going on, you see, there is a lot of information to take in sometimes. I mean, a lot. And I do my best to stay as open as possible to take this stuff in and still stay sane and still try to run a life and take care of things like tires and brakes and baseball practices. And at the same time, every now and then, a few things will go by me. And sometimes they'll go by me because I'm still conditioned. I'm still conditioned to not go to certain places, although that's changing. But I got really close to this whole idea of Trayvon Martin and Dick Cheney, and Cheney having Trayvon Martin's heart. I got really close to it before that video came out, because Visible and I were talking about Dick Cheney on the show. It's like, hey, Dick Cheney got a heart. Who got his heart? And we're trying to figure out who. You know, we're dancing. We were dancing around that thing. Where did he get his heart? Who got his heart? You know, whose heart is Dick Cheney, pumping now, right? So we were dancing around it, and I was dancing around this whole thing around Trayvon and Spike Lee and Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and the Freemasonic connection, and then all of a sudden, bang! There's pictures of Tracy Martin, his dad, as a Freemason. They were on his Facebook page. They got pulled down now, but they're out there. They're on the internet now. I got some of them on my site, actually. So I'm dancing around all this stuff. I'm thinking, wow, yeah, wow. And so when I heard that, I was like, of course that could happen. It's almost too freaky to think about. If you haven't seen the video, I go find it. Undercover Alien, who has a YouTube channel, put it up. By the way, I talked to somebody last night who met undercover alien at Usati Ranch. Says he's a little uptight. But how could you not put that stuff out and not be uptight? You'd have to be wired a little tight to put that stuff out. Anyway, you could find the video. It's a very interesting video. Dick Cheney and Trayvon Martin were both Aquarians, by the way. Dick Cheney born the 30th of January, and I think Trayvon Martin was born February 6th, if I'm not mistaken. They're both Aquarians. The whole idea of a 17-year-old black American male who, at the time of his death, was sporting gold teeth and blogging about guns, semi-automatic weapons on his MySpace page, already having tattoos, flipping people off. The whole idea of that kid's heart beating inside Dick Cheney is creepy on so many levels that the mind almost doesn't want to go there. It's almost like, you know, I can't go there. But then you think about it, it's like, oh my God, you know, it's more bizarre shit has happened on this planet. And of course, Jon Stewart got into it. Jon Stewart made a really big deal out of it. I mean, a really big deal. And if you followed any of the stuff around Jon Stewart, you know, his last name is Leibovitz. His brother is the head of the New York Stock Exchange. If you didn't know that, you know that now. And there's been rumors that Stewart has been linked to the Knights Templar, if you can believe that. Anyway, we live in an utterly bizarre world. Utterly bizarre. Strange. Strange beyond belief. And we're navigating it, right? We're navigating it. That's what we're doing. I'm going to give you some info about the show. Upcoming, I think Monday, I'm going to try to have Peter Darling on. Pete's an old friend, and he just wrote his first novel called Winter Republic. And Pete's a very interesting guy. He is when I knew Pete, he was a graphic artist, and then he eventually turned himself into a journalist and started to work for Microsoft. And he lived abroad. I think he lived in either Finland or Sweden or someplace like that. He got married, and now he lives in Seattle. And he's a pilot. He's a certified pilot, and he's a Pisces. And Pete's a great guy, and I'm looking forward to reading his book. He said he wrote about Mondo, which is the magazine that I work for, and how I got to know Pete. So there's a chance I might even be in the book. Well, I'll have to read some of the book over the weekend, although it's going to be a crazy weekend in terms of time. Now I've got to go deal with. I got to plan for a birthday and get a new wheel from San Francisco and get it all together by like 5 o'clock today. So anyway, Pete will be on the show on Monday, and then I'm hoping to have another guest on the following Monday where we can talk about the ancient alien experience down in Cusco, Peru, and some of the findings down there. And then, so that would be hopefully not this Monday, but the following Monday. And then next week, not this coming week, the week after Easter, but the following week, I will return to the old schedule. That means Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday, back to navigating the astrological matrix. Friday, back to Far Fridays. Monday, back to the Monday mashup. It's going to be, you know, just like old times. Reunited, and I feel so good. I was really bumming over the fact that I had to let go of my Wednesday show. My life did not feel right. It didn't feel right. You know, for many years, I prided myself in being able to surf at chaos. And now I'm finding that I need more consistency in order to make my world cohesive. I mean, I've done a great job. I was born into chaos. Chaos is second nature to me. But as I get older and the further away I get from the disturbing influences of medicating myself in substances that I put into my body, the more clear I get, and the more that I really appreciate consistency. So I missed my Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine. I did. I love that Wednesday show. And I just didn't feel right doing the Wednesday show on Friday. So we're going back to that in 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to that. I made a schedule change in my other life. It's 11:55. You're listening to Doors of Divination. I'm Robert Phoenix. This is the radio edit version of the show. I watched a funny documentary last night, or at least part of it. I started watching it the other night. I fell asleep and I resumed it, but I missed a bunch of it in the middle because I'd fallen asleep. It's called Winnebago Man. Winnebago Man. Watch this documentary. If you have Netflix, watch Winnebago Man. It is a touching film. It's about this guy who he was a Winnebago salesman, and he did a series of commercials for Winnebago, and the outtakes of these commercials wound up on YouTube, and he became kind of a cult classic. You know, people love this guy because he said fuck better than just about anybody else in the history of the planet. Really funny stuff. So anyway, these filmmakers they try to find him. Like, who is the Winnebago Man? Whatever happened to him? So they find him, and he's living up in the Sierras, and he's like, you know, legally blind, and he's got a dog named Buddha, and he's studied the Quran and the Bible and the Talmud and, you know, the Tao, and he's you know, he's like the wise man on the mountain, but he's still got an attitude, and he loves to say fuck a lot. It's a great movie. And so what's really fascinating is that the filmmakers, you know, they try to get him to open up, and they try to get him to tell his story. And he says, I'm not interested in my story. And they said, well, what are you interested in? They said, well, I'm interested in telling people, and apparently this is when Dick Cheney was, bringing it back to Dick Cheney, when Dick Cheney was still around. He says, I'm interested in telling people that Dick Cheney is about to bankrupt the United States. And he says, you better fucking wake up. And this guy was all over it. He was all over it. And what was really interesting was that the filmmakers didn't like that. They didn't like the quote-unquote political stuff. They wanted him to talk about his life and what made him him, but let's draw people in. And he was basically saying, you know, fuck that. If you don't like it, leave. If you don't like what I have to say, leave. And so they eventually came back. And it was really interesting that here's a guy that obviously didn't give a shit. In fact, he wanted to do something in front of Walmart. They took the camera down in front of Walmart, and he was going to riff on Walmart. And the guy from Walmart came out, and they told him to leave. So anyway, Winnebago Man, you'll love this movie. You'll love this guy. You'll love the Winnebago Man. I guarantee it. If you have Netflix, watch it. Okay. I don't think I'm going to go over the allotted time. I want to thank everybody who showed up late and hung in there with me. I really appreciate it. You're the best. You're the absolute best. And I just want to let you know that I love you and I appreciate you. You bring me great joy and great support in my life on many different levels. And you know who you are. And by the way, a much belated happy birthday to Erica, who's been really essential and vital to getting these shows up online at YouTube and doing some really great graphic work. If you want any graphic design work, contact Erica. She's talented. She's got a new computer that kicks ass. So reach out to her if you need any graphic design work, and a belated happy birthday. I didn't give her enough due on her birthday. So there it is. All right, use your head to discern what's real, your heart to step into what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Have a happy chocolate Jesus Day. I love you all. I'll see you on Monday.
We are living in a computer-programmed reality And the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.